Naam, karibu tena mtazamaji, tupo katika dakika za lala salama za taarifa za leo mashinani. Siku ya leo ningependa tuleke kule katika kaunti ya Mombasa moja kwa moja tumsikize msemaji wa serikali Kiraithe, manake kwa sasa anatoa taarifa.
It is to make members of public capable of protecting themselves. And that is by way of demanding accountability, and where this accountability is not offered, you escalate it to the security services. You have chiefs, you have sub-chiefs, you have police officers. Now the government has moved to make it easy for police officers to live in the communities, and therefore there are adequate means to escalate such issues to the government so that we don't live with the drug traffickers for years. Then when our sons start behaving in a funny way, leaving school, start becoming criminals and start getting destroyed, we start complaining about security when we ourselves have a large part to play to ensure that it doesn't happen. And therefore, security is not our responsibility as a slogan, it is our responsibility in terms of vigilance in the communities, among the communities, and between the communities and the state security agencies. Having done that, we would also want to say a word about permanent politicking. As journalists, you are really enjoined to ensure that we assist and we support our government to achieve food on the table for every Kenyan, a decent or even a modest shelter, proper housing, that when you are knocked down by a car, before we even know who was to blame, you are receiving proper medical and surgical treatment as soon as possible to reduce your suffering. That when you leave school, you don't leave school and hit the street. I don't think anybody would not do with that kind of life for himself, herself, and for the neighbor. And this will also go a long way in reducing the vulnerability of our youth to funny groups like Al-Shabaab. I can ask you, the United States of America will hold its presidential elections way before us, 2 years ahead of us. Who knows who are the candidates? As the media, you have watched the CNN, you read the Washington Post, New York Times. Have you had any conversation about the candidates? The conversation we are hearing continuously is about the economy, is about their security, their border security. Do they build a wall or this year or next year? The conversation is about themselves and their livelihoods and their security. And therefore, it is very absurd when every action, every statement, every news bulletin you read about is about who will run for elections in 2022. How will that bring food on the table? We are saying that 2022 is important, but remember, in terms of providing jobs, it will provide maybe a job for 1 or 2 Kenyans. What happens to the other 40 million of us? We need to engage in activities, and we need to understand that as much as you enjoy your media freedom, you also have a responsibility to help this country move faster. And finally, in terms of corruption, all of you have seen the move by the government. And this is very much tied to the issue of Nyumba Kumi initiative, to the issue of citizen responsibility, citizen vigilance for law and order, citizen vigilance for the rule of law, and the citizen vigilance for the protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms. And when you talk about human rights, always start with yourself. That when you wake up in the morning, are you free to go to work? If you have a night duty, you have a night assignment, are you free to walk the distance between the bus stop and your home, or you will spend money hiring a taxi because you are fearing. So human rights is not a concept there to be dealt with criminals and all that. It is about you. And when your neighbor who was recently employed in the county government starts driving a good car, starts building a big house, it is your time to ask, which is this business you have discovered in recent weeks, which we don't know about. Otherwise, from the side of the government, we are committed, and you have all seen the leadership of His Excellency the President, the opposition in this country, and all other public servants, including the civil service, that we are committed to fight terrorism. We are committed to ensure that citizens focus on the needs, and there is absolute commitment to ensure that we fight corruption so that it does not slow the desire of Kenyans, our collective aspirations to lead a good life. I don't know any Kenyan who does not want a good life, and we are calling upon the media to be enjoined so that 2019 becomes the year when we redeem the Kenyan dream. Thank you very much.
Questions? Karim?
I have two questions.
Yes, please.
One,
Yeah.
remember the incident that happened in Nairobi town?
Yes.
We are told the CCTV could not capture well those images of those persons just because there was no light in that place. Surely, how can we go on with this? Somebody somewhere doesn't do his job to see if these lights are operating or not operating. That's one. Second, is it true you have been shot?
Na mtazamaji, huyo hapo ni Eric Kiraithe, msemaji wa serikali kwa katika kaunti ya Mombasa, pale akitoa taarifa. Wanahabari wetu wako pale, wako tayari, watakuwa natupa hiyo taarifa baadaye. Hebu sasa turudi hapa Nairobi, ambapo waziri wa uchukuzi Bwana James Macharia wakati huo anatoa taarifa. Naomba tumsikize.
Distinguishing specifications for these BRTs, so that nobody says I got a BRT and yet it is not a BRT. It is a high capacity bus. You have to distinguish between a high capacity bus from a BRT. And some of the features, BRT has 2 doors on the right hand side. Yeah, that is a feature which is very clear and which must be complied with. The size of the BRT buses, we go into those kind of details, measured to the nearest millimeter, because these are buses which must be aligned to the stations